Hello friends, welcome. In this video we are going to build a Chat GPT clone with Laravel, Inertia and VueJS. So here is the example. I am logged in, or let's go and log out and just go and register with fake filler. It's the same because I don't have any chat. So let's go. Here we have the link to go to the chat, and here is the chat. Now let's ask the chat for the what is Laravel, and you can see we have here 3 dots. Is waiting for the response, and yeah, here's the response. Now immediately we show that chat in here, and if we ask something else here, let's say what is Django, and hit enter. As you can see, also we have the skeleton, and this is going to display it here. Okay, then if we want to create a new chat, we have this button, and when we can create a new chat, or we can navigate here and ask more questions for this one, and we have the history of this. Now if we want to delete, we have this icon, and if I click, we have the, if we want to delete, we can click here, or if we want to cancel, click here. I think the same we have also with OpenAI Chat GPT. So let's create just another one for now and just say test here, hit enter. And now, as you can see, we have the icon only in this chat we are in, not to this one. If we want to delete this, we need to navigate and delete. Okay, friends. So in this full video, we are going to build this kind of ChatGPT clone. I hope you enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe and like my video. All the best. Okay, friends, now in this video, let's set up the project for our Laravel ChatGPT clone. So here I am in the laravel.com, and let's zoom it like this. And to create a project, I have installed Laravel installer, but you can create with Composer just by running the Composer create project Laravel/Laravel and the name of the project. Or you can install the Laravel installer as I did and just say Laravel new and the name of the project, or with Laravel Docker. Now I'm going to install also the Breeze package because I want the Inertia and Vue, and also I want the authentication. Today's video is brought to you by Cloudways, a managed cloud hosting platform for PHP-based applications. So we have WordPress, Magento, Laravel, and PHP. Cloudways takes over all server management and security hassles to let you solely focus on your business. Their custom stack provides performance boost, managed backups that keep your app safe, and a staging environment that lets you test code without breaking live sites. Plus, pre-configured Composer and integrated GI make deployments a breeze, and you get a choice between 5 top cloud providers, including DigitalOcean, Vultr, Linode, WSL, and GCI. With Cloudways, you not only get flexibility, but peace of mind. So if you are an agency or an e-commerce store owner, Cloudways is a great fit for all your managed hosting requirements. Don't forget to use promo code link in description. So let's open the terminal, and I am inside the sites directory, and here I'm going to say Laravel new, and let's name it Laravel-ChatGPT, and also I'm going to add a flag to directly install the Laravel Breeze. So -breeze, and also -pest for testing, and let's say enter. Now choose true for Vue, also yes for dark mode, and yes for the server-side rendering support. And now it's going to create the project. Also I'm going to open the table plus, and you need to create a database because I'm going to use database with that. Okay, so let's create a database for our application, and I'm going to say new database here, and let's name it just Chat GPT. Hit enter. Okay, here it is. Just open now. Good. Now the application is ready. Let's see in the Laravel-Chat GPT. Hit enter, and I'm going to open the project with VS Code. So let's open that project. We have the database. We need to change the database name. So let's open the .env file, and here just remove the Laravel from here. Good. Let's save, and if I run now the artisan migrate, so in here I'm going to say artisan migrate. Also I'm going to say fresh here, and yeah, good. If I open now the project here, so I have installed also the Laravel Valet. I'm going to open with that, so Laravel-chat gpt.test. And yeah, here is the project. Let's zoom it a little bit, like this. Okay. Now, before I register, I'm going to create a model for the chat and also a migration. So on the terminal, one more time, let's say artisan make model, and the name of the model is going to be chat-m for migration also. Good. And let's open the VS Code and search for chats migration here, and we have the ID and the timestamp. And what I'm going to add here, I'm going to add the user ID, origin ID, because it's going to be related to the user. So let's say $table origin ID for user ID, and I'm going to say constraint and also cascade on delete. So if the user is deleted, I'm going to delete also the chat. That's it. Okay, and then I'm going to add a JSON field here for the context, and here is where we're going to save the history we chat with OpenAI. Let's save that. Let's run again the migrate fresh, and we are okay. Good. Now let's open the chat model, because here I'm going to just say right here protected $, worded to be equal with an empty array, and then also I'm going to say protected $, casts to be equal with an array, and I'm going to say right here context is going to be array, like this. Let's save this, and the last thing I want to do in this video is to install the Laravel OpenAI package. So let's search for Laravel OpenAI, hit enter, and okay, we need to zoom it. Here we have the GitHub OpenAI-PHP for Laravel also, and we need to install that. Scroll down, here it is, just copy composer require OpenAI-PHP/Laravel, and on the terminal, paste that in, hit enter. Then we need to run the PHP artisan vendor published. Okay, paste that in, hit enter, and the last thing is to add the OpenAI API key on the .env file. So let's copy that and let's open the .env file here. And I'm going to scroll down and paste that in. Now here, you need to go and create an OpenAI account and get the secret key and paste it here, okay? Okay friends, welcome. So in this video now, I'm going to create the chat layout, controller, and also the index page. we need to add also the link here to navigate to the chat. So let's start first by creating a Chat GPT controller, and on the terminal I'm going to say artisan make controller, hit enter, and the name is going to be Chat GPT index controller because it's going to be invocable, and select the true, which means for the invocable here. Okay, hit enter, and we are okay. Let's close now this, and let's open the web routes, and inside the middleware out we have a group for profiles. Here also I'm without the chat routes. So let's say route, and I'm going to say get /chat/ and here I'm going to pass the ID of the chat, which is going to be optional. So let's say here question. And why I want to do that, because if we don't have the ID, it's going to start a new chat. Otherwise we are going to display the history of this chat with ID. Okay, and let's say here use that Chat GPT index controller and pass here the class. Okay, and we need to give it also the name, and I'm going to name it chat.show. Okay, let's save this and make sure you import that Chat GPT index controller up here, and let's close this. And now I'm going to open the Chat GPT index controller, and here we have the invoke method, and I don't want the request here. What I want here is ID, which is going to be string $ID, and initially is going to be null. The return type is going to be response, inertia response, and let's say here first I'm going to get all the messages we have, or let's leave it for now and just say return, because now we are going to work only with the layout. So let's return the inertia render, and we need to render the inside the resources pages. I'm going to create a chat folder and then the chat index file, and let's leave it right now like this. Let's save and let's open now the resources JS pages, and here I'm going to create a new folder with name chat, and then create the chat index file here. So let's say chat index.vue. Okay, let's say v setup, and we are okay. Then here I want now to use the chat layout. So let's go to the layouts and create a new file, and I'm going to name it here chat layout.vue. Hit enter, and let's just say v setup. Okay, now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to add some classes. So let's say first I'm going to add the aside, so the aside with some classes here, and don't worry about that because I'm going to show you the GitHub repository and link, and you can find all the classes there. So here we have the aside, and in that side of the aside I'm going to add a div, and inside this div I'm going to add the slot with a name, and let's name it aside. Yeah, I think it's okay. Then after the aside I'm going to add a div which is going to have all to display the history and prompts of messages. So let's say div, and I'm going to say class to be margin left auto, and auto because we have here the aside, and margin bottom I'm going to say 6 on large let's say width to be brackets here and 75%, and leave it as it is right now. Let's close this, and then I'm going to add a div with class to be padding top of 6. Okay, then let's add mine here, and inside is going to be the default slot, so the slot without the name. Then after this div here, now I'm going to add another slot for the form. For that, so I'm going to just paste here the div with some classes, and as I said, don't worry for classes because I'm going to give it you the link of the GitHub repository. And inside now this div, I'm going to add a slot with a name, and let's name it input or form. I'm going to name it form like this. And now let's save this and let's close, and let's use that chat layout. So import the chat layout and use it here. Chat layout. Now in this chat layout we added 3 slots. So for that, let's say here template with the name of aside, and then we have a template, or we don't need a template because it's going to be the default one. We just add the template with the name, not aside, but the name form, and close. And inside here, I'm going to add a div with class to be, let's say, with full flex, and let's say text to be white. Okay. Now here is going to be all the messages. We are going to have the history if we have a chat, because if it's new, we don't have that. Good. If I save now as it is, and let's open the browser, we need to go to the chat, but first let's add a link here to navigate to that chat. So for that, let's open the authenticated layout, and here on the links, just copy this and duplicate it, change the route to be chat.show, and we don't need to add ID of the chat because it's going to be for the new one. Let's say here just chat, and let's save, close, and come here. Yeah, here we have the chat. If I click, and we have something like this because this is a extra large monitor, so let's change that on the layout. I'm going to open the chat layout, and here when we say just large, I'm going to add also the extra large. If we have the extra large, it's going to be a width of, let's say, 80%, and maybe also, and this width is going to be in the square brackets. And let's say also if we have 2XL, it's going to be a width of 85%, and also this one is going to be in the brackets, square brackets. And if I save now and come here, yeah, now we are okay. This is the layout now, and here we need to display all the links for the messages and also the link for the new message. Here is going to be the form. So for that, let's open and chat layout on the chat index. Now for the form, I'm going to add the form right now. So let's say here a section, and let's give it a class to be px of 6, and on top I'm going to say 0. So top 0. Okay. And then let's add another div with a class to be with full, and then another div which is going to be class relative. Also it's going to be flex 1 and flex, and I'm going to say items sender. Okay, now here is going to be the input, and let's say input type is going to be text, and I'm going to add some classes here. So let's say class. So I added class with full, bg slate 700, text wide and rounded to be large, and let's say here also a placeholder. And what I'm going to say, let's say ask Laravel AI. Now if I save as it is right now and let's see on the browser, yeah, here we have ask Laravel AI. Okay friends, welcome. Now in this video I'm going to send a prompt to the API, to the OpenAI API, and I'm going to get back and store that, what we get back, the messages in the chat database, and then display it here or here. For that you need to go to get the API keys. You need to go to the openai.com and log in or register, and then navigate to the platform.openai.com/account/API-keys, and you can create a new secret key and copy and paste that on the .env file. Okay, now let's start and work with this. The first thing I'm going to add here is I'm going to add an SVG. Let's open the VS Code and let's open here the chat index. Okay, and here we have the input. After the input I'm going to say add a div with, let's say, class absolute, and I'm going to say inset to be y0, right is going to be 0, it's going to be flex, and also I'm going to say items is going to be on center, and I think let's say also padding left of 3, and that's it. Now inside of this div I'm going to add an SVG, and you can find the SVG on the hero icon. So if I search for heroicons.com, and I'm going to use this one, paper airplane. So let's copy this and let's navigate here and paste that in. Now let's save that and let's see on the browser how it's going to look. Yeah, we have something like this. So for that, let's navigate here, and on here when we have a class, let's change this. So I think yeah, it's okay. So let's just add here minus margin left of 8, and the text is going to be slate 200. And now let's save this and let's see what we have. Yeah, something like this. Okay, now I think we are okay. The first thing I'm going to do here is scroll up and import the use form from Inertia. So let's say import use form from the Inertia, and then let's create a constant here, constant to be form, and I'm going to assign that with the use form, and here is going to be an object with just, I'm going to name it prompt initially is going to be an empty string. And that form prompt now I'm going to pass to this input. So let's say here the model to be equal with form.prompt. Okay, then let's create a method constant. I'm going to say submit, which is going to be equal with an arrow function, and here I'm just going to say form, for now just form.post, and the URL is going to be /chat, and we need to create that one. And what I'm going to do now, when we hit enter on this input, so let's add here also on key up, I'm going to call the submit button key up and add the enter event, the enter key on key up.enter. We are going to call this submit. Okay, now let's open the terminal, and first here I'm going to create a controller. So let's say artisan make controller, hit enter, and let's give it a name Chat GPT store controller. Hit enter, and it's going to be invocable, so let's select true. Okay, let's close now. And let's open that controller. So chat also, first let's open the web routes and register the route for the store. So here I'm going to say route post /chat, and we are going to use that controller we created, chat store controller class. Okay, and let's give it also the name. I'm going to name it chat store, and let's save and let's close. And now let's open that chat store controller, ChatGPT store. Okay, let's create also the request. So artisan make a request, and I'm going to name it store chat request, or chat, yeah, store chat request. Hit enter, and let's close, and let's open now that chat request. Okay, here it is. Change that to be true, and the one thing we need here is just that prompt. So let's say here prompt is going to be required, and also is going to be string, and let's save that, close, and let's use now that request here. So store chat request, and let's remove the default request here. Okay, the first thing in this invoke method, I'm going to say, I'm going to create a messages variable and assign with an empty array. Then I'm going to say for assign messages array is going to be a role, an array with a role, and the role is going to be user in this case because I want to send, and then we're going to get back, we're going to change that to be assistant, but for now it's going to be role user. And you can go and find more on the API documentation here. Go to the chat completion, and here you can see we need that the model and messages, which is going to be here. We have the role system, in this case role user, and the content, which is going to be the prompt, or if we are the assistant, is going to be what we are going to get back from the API. Let's zoom it also for you, just to see you here. And this is what we get back. So the ID object, created model uses and choices. And here we have a message with a role and the content, what we get back. Okay. So right now I want to say role user, and the content is going to be the request, input, and the name of input is prompt. And for now, what I'm going to do, just say die and dump first, die and dump the messages to see what we get here right now. Let's save and let's open the project, refresh. And if I type something here, hit enter, yeah, we have die and dump an array with content. Good. Now let's go back. So we get the prompt. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to say $response, which is going to be equal with OpenAI from the OpenAI Laravel facades. Say chat here, and we need to create a new chat. So add an array with that what we saw earlier here. So we need to send the model and the messages. So let's say the model is going to be GPT 3.5, so GPT-3.5 turbo. Okay, the same we have here. And the messages, now say messages is going to be equal with the messages we have right now. Then after we send that, I'm going to assign the messages array with, I'm going to add now what we get from here. So as we can see, we get back this response, something similar, and I want the messages here, to access the messages and the role and the content. So the messages now is going to be equal with an array, and the role is going to be assistant. Now the content is going to be the response, not request, but response choices. Okay, so what we got here, choices. Then I'm going to get the first one, because maybe we have more than one array. So let's select the first one. And here I'm going to get the message and the content I want. So message, and also change the content, and we are okay. Okay, for now, let's say just die and dump the messages, just to see what we get. So if we have a success response, we are going to add to these messages also the role, an array with role assistants and content, response choices, messages, content. So let's say die and dump, and let's try now here, refresh. And what I'm going to say, what is Laravel? I'm going to ask what is Laravel, and let's wait for the die and dump. Yeah, we get two arrays. First one is the role is user, and the content is what is Laravel, what we asked. Then we get the role assistant and the content. Laravel is an open source PHP, so we have a success response. Very good. Now here we need to add that to the database, but for that we need also, so let's just open the web routes, And here, maybe we have the ID. So we need also to add the ID in here, which is going to be optional as well, because maybe it's the first prompt we sent. And then if we have an ID, we need to change also something here. First, we need to accept that ID here. We need to say string $ID, and initially it's going to be null, but if we have that ID, I'm going to say here if $ID, if we have the ID, first I'm going to get the chat from based on that ID. I'm going to say $chat to be equal with and call the chat model, and I'm going to use the find or fail $ID here. And if we have that chat, I'm going to say the messages now is going to be equal with $chat context. Okay. Now, if we don't have, the message is going to be just role user and content the prompt. But if we have, we are going to pass also that what we get from the chat here. Then down there, now we don't want, if we have the ID, we don't want to create a new chat. We want to update this chat here. For that, I'm going to use the update or create. So I'm going to say chat update or create here. And first we are going to add an array with ID. So if this ID is equal to the ID we have here, and also I'm going to use the user ID, which is going to be auth facade. Let's use the auth facade ID, and not like this. Now, if that is true, we are going to update. Otherwise, it's going to create a new chat. And let's say now context is going to be $messages. And let's assign this with a variable chat. And down there, I'm going to return redirect to the route, and route is going to be chat show, and I'm going to pass here the ID. So pattern array with $chat ID like this, and I think we are okay. So now we redirect to the route chat show and we pass the ID, which means if I open the web routes, here now this ID is going to exist, and on the chat controller now we have an ID here. So let's say pass here the chat, and this chat I'm going to say function, and if we have that ID, if the ID is not null, I'm going to get that chat, so chat, and also I'm going to use the find or fail here. The ID, I'm going to return this chat. It's going to be what we get here. Otherwise, it's going to be null. So if we don't have the ID, it's going to be null. And also, for now, let's just say here, I'm going to return messages, which is going to be chat latest and where user ID. So let's use the where here. The user ID is auth ID also, and get. So now when we redirect, we are going to pass the chat and messages here. And let's save this. And now let's open the chat index and define a props. So right here, I'm going to say, or let's create a constant props to be equal with define props. And here we need to define the messages, which is going to be an array, and also the chat, which the chat is going to be either null or an object. And let's save for now, and let's see now here. If I refresh, and I think I removed that die dump, yeah. So we say chat update or create based on the ID, and the user ID is going to create or update the existing chat. And let's try one more time. So what is Laravel? And hit enter. Yeah, we sent the request, and now if I come here and refresh, we get that. So we have here, and just let me. So here's the context, role is user, and the content. First one is what is Laravel. Then we have another object here with role assistant, and the content is this one. Okay, friends. So in the previous video, we sent a request and we added the response to the database. So here we have, and we have an array with the role user and content, what is Laravel, what we asked, and then the response, role assistant, and the content, what is Laravel. Okay, now I want this history or this chat, I want to display it here, and when we click, we navigate to that chat, URL, we added the ID there, and I want to display then the history here. Okay, so let's open the VS Code, and also let's see first here if I inspect the element, and let's navigate to the view. On the chat index, we have a chat which is null, and the messages, which is an array. And here we have the ID, user ID, and created that and updated that. And also we have a context, which is an array, and the context is this here, which has two objects. The first one is with a role user and the content, and the second is the role assistant and the content. Okay, so let's navigate here, and inside the aside, I'm going to add the UL, and let's give it a class, let's say padding of 2. And inside here, I'm going to check. I'm going to make a v4, so let's say template here, and v4 message in messages, and let's add also the key, which is going to be message.id. And now in here, that let's add the li with a class to be px4, because it's going to be like a button, so px4 py to be 2, my2 again, and I'm going to make it flex, justify between, and I'm going to save justify between because I'm going to add to this one also a link, not the link just navigate there, but also a link to delete, but not in this video, in the next video. Then let's say a font to be a semi-bold, and what we can add. Also, let's say text to be slate 400 and BG, let's say slate 900 here. Okay, on hover now, I want to change the BG to be, let's say, slate 800 or 700 and rounded to be large, and maybe duration to be 200 like this. And now we need to use the link here, so let's add link, and we need to import that. So link, and we need to bind now the shref, which is going to be equal with, I'm going to add the backticks here because it's going to have also the ID. So let's say /chat/ and we need to add the message ID. So message.id in here. Also we can use routes, but I add it like this. And now in here I want to display, let's close also the link. And why we have a link here. And what I want to display here is, so let's come here and inspect the element. Go to the view. And inside the messages, we make a v4. So we have the one message right now. And inside the context, I want to display this, what is Laravel. So the first in the context array, I want the content. Okay, so let's come here and let's say message dot context, and the first one in the array, I want the content. And if I save now and let's open, okay, we have error, and let's see why we have that error. Because the console undefined reading ID, and that's it. I make a mistake here, typo. So let's go back and v4, not v4 like this. And now, yeah, because we need to import the link now from Inertia. So let's go here and let's import also the link from Inertia, and let's save now. Come here, and yeah, it is what is Laravel. Okay, now if I click here, we navigate to the /chat/1, and I want to display the context. I want to display all the content we have. So role user, and then display the content for role user, and also for role assistant, display the content for that. So let's open the VS Code, and now let's close the aside, and inside this div, I'm going to add a template, and I'm going to check if we have a chat, because if we don't have, I don't want to display nothing. If we have a chat, I'm going to add a div, and let's say add a class here with full. Also it's going to be flex. I'm going to add heads to be screen, and also going to give it a BG slate 900. And inside I'm going to add another div, which is going to be a class of with full also here, and I'm going to add overflow auto. Okay, and here let's say for now just content, and if I save, I come here, yeah, is the content. Now I'm going to create a new component for this. So let's say inside the resources components, let's create a new one, and I'm going to name it let's name it chat content dot view. Okay, and let's say v setup, and inside the script setup first I'm going to define a prop. So let's say const props is going to be equal with define props, and we need to define a content which is going to be an object. Okay, and here what I'm going to do inside the template, now let's add a div with some classes, and just let's say class here, and let's say here width to be full. I'm going to add a flex, and text is going to be white. Okay, and let's give it a py of 6. Okay, and now let's inside this div I'm going to add a span, and let's give it a class to be width 1/6 here. It's going to be flex, and also justify. I'm going to say justify and also let's say padding right of 4, because it's going to be in the end, so let's give it a padding of 4 on the right. And I'm going to add a SVG here for the if we have a user, also if we have assistant. So let's open here the hero icons, so heroicons.com, and just search for user here, user, and here's the user. Okay, you can use that. I'm going to use something else here, so let's just copy and paste here. So let's paste that, and I'm going to save this. Now I set here if content is role user, I'm going to add this one, and if the content role is assistant, I'm going to add this. Or we can just say v else here instead of something like this. We'll just say v else and display this. And now on the chat index, let's import the chat content and display it here in the content. So I'm going to say right here, import chat content, and now inside here I'm going to add a template and make a v4 here, v4, and let's say v4 content, and also the index in chat if we have chat context, because the chat context is an array. Okay, in chat context, and also we need to add the key, which is going to be just the index in this case. And now in this template I'm going to add the chat content and pass in here the content prop and say content like this, self close. And let's see now if I save that, and let's come here. Yeah, we have the user and the one user and one chat here. Okay, now you can find that in the link in the description for the SVGs, don't worry. Now let's display also the content of that. So after the span, I'm going to say, and just let me do something like this. So we added with full and we added flex here. So the first one is span, and then I'm going to add let's say section here, and we need to give it a class to be now the width let's say 4x6, and I'm going to add text to be left, and let's say padding left to be 4. We added padding right here and padding left of this one, and inside here now let's display the content, and inside the content we have a content like this. So let's go and see. Yeah, now here is what is Laravel, and this is the content. One more thing, we need to change the color for the user and for the assistant. So what I'm going to do here is let's import from the view. So I'm going to say import the computed from view, and down there I'm going to say const user, which is going to be equal with computed, and here I'm going to say return if the props dot content dot role is triple equal with user. If that is user, this is going to be user. And now on this div, I'm going to bind the class here. So let's say class. Now if we have a user, if it's the user, I'm going to say bg to be, let's say bg slate 800, and also I'm going to give it a font bold. If it is not user, I'm going to say just let's say bg slate 700 here, and not bold. And if I save like this, and let's see now, yeah, here we have the user has this color and the assistant had this color. Okay, friends, the first thing in this video, I'm going to add PG black here. So for that, let's open the VS Code, and inside the views, we have this app, and on the body, I'm going to add a BG black. So let's say on dark mode, the BG is going to be black like this. And now, yeah, we have black, or we can change the maybe something like BG slate 900. And I think we are okay. Now let's close this. And what I want to do is, so let's ask, I am registered with a new user. For that, we don't have that, what is Laravel. So let's ask again, what is Laravel? And now if I hit enter, we can write again. I don't want to do that. So if we hit enter, I want to disable this one. And also I want to show that loading here. So for that, let's open the VS Code, and on the chat index, let's see, here we have the input, and I'm going to say bind disabled if we have the form dot processing. Okay, then we have this div with a SVG, which is this SVG here, but if I hit enter, I don't want to show that. I want to show that loading. So for that, what I'm going to do here is a template. I'm going to say style, and inside here I'm going to paste a class dot typing, and you can find these classes here, or you can go to the GitHub repository. Also, I'm going to add here keyframes for the dot typing, And now what I want to do is after the SVG, because here we have flex, absolute, inside, wide, and so on. After the SVG, I want to display that div. So let's say div with a class dot typing like this, and I'm going to give it a margin left of 10 minus margin left 10 negative margin left, and let's close this div. But this div now, if I save and let's see, yeah, as you can see here it is. I want to show only if we hit the enter, if we submit the input. So for that we can say if we have form dot processing, and now we don't see, but if I say, for example, what is Laravel, what is VueJS, and hit enter, yeah, we have both of them. So for that we need to also hide this if we have the form processing. So we can say if we don't have form dot processing, and now if I save and come here, and you know what, we have here what is Vue.js and here what is Laravel, as you can see. So we can navigate through them, but if we are here and send this request, I want also to be in this history. So for that, let's scroll up to the chat index, and here when we send the chat, I'm going to create a constant, and let's say URL, or yeah, URL, which is going to be equal with, if we have props dot chat, if we have that, I want to make this URL to be /chat/ and now here I'm going to add the props dot chat dot ID. Okay, otherwise it's going to just be /chat. And I think we are okay. Now let's use this URL here. So let's say URL, and if I save, let's go here, and yeah, we have this here, what is Laravel, and also let's say now what is Django, and hit enter. Yeah, now we show only that one, and this is disabled. So wait for the response, and yeah, we are here in this chat. Very good. Now let's say also what is React, just to show you something, and hit enter. Very good. Yeah, now as you can see, we have the React, but is under this one. So for that, let's open the VS Code, and we have that side. Then we have this for the template, and I'm going to say here, when we have the width full overflow auto, I'm going to add also the padding bottom to be 36. And yeah, now when we scroll here, we are okay. But if I refresh, as you can see, we need to scroll. So I want, when I refresh, I want to directly go down, scroll to the bottom, and also when we make a new request, the same thing. So let's work with that. The first thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to create two props to constants. So let's say create a constant for, let's say, prompt input, which is going to be ref. So let's need to import the ref from view, which is going to be initially null. And the same, let's create a constant for the chat container. And we'll just say like this, which is going to be also this one ref null. Let's import the ref from view. So let's say import ref from view here. And now let's scroll down when we have that. This is for the form on the input. Now I'm going to add a ref for the prompt input like this, and also on this on here I'm going to say add the ref, which is going to be chat container. And now let's scroll up, and here we need to create some methods. So I'm going to create first the constant and say scroll the bottom like this, which is going to be an arrow function. And here I'm going to get the element from the chat container dot value. Okay, and then I'm going to say element dot scroll top is going to be equal with element dot scroll height. Scroll height like this, and now it's going to be on the bottom, and I want also to unmounted. So let's say unmounted. I want to call that, so just let's say something like this and say scroll the bottom, or better, let's create another method here. So I'm going to create another method, const clear, and also this one is going to be an arrow function. And let's say here first I'm going to clean the prompt form.prompt, which is going to be equal with an empty string. Then I'm going to say prompt.input.value, and I'm going to say here focus. I'm going to add a focus to the prompt input value, and then I'm going to call here scroll the bottom, and unmounted, just call this clear now. So let's say clear, and if I save like this and open, and why we have an error, let's see on the source. Yeah, unmounted is not defined. And just let me zoom it this for you. So we have here unmounted is not defined. Let's close and let's define the unmounted. So here when we have imported the ref, we need to import also the unmounted and save. And as you can see, if I refresh, we directly scroll to the bottom. Okay, that's it, what we want. Next, also when we send the form, where we are here on the, on this URL, here I want to call that clear, so I'm going to add an option here. So on finish, when we finish, I'm going to say clear like this. And now let's save this and let's make just one more random ask here. So let's say just test, and I'm going to hit enter, and let's just scroll this like this, test, hit enter, and yeah, we have the loading and we scroll directly down. Okay, friends, and I think we are good now. So we can navigate through what here we are in the what is Laravel. Yeah, this is, and if I go here, what is VueJS? And also now I want to show the button to create a new one, because as you can see, so let's open the VS Code, and on the side we have here the li. Let's add another link. So I'm going to copy this and paste it up here. Now this link is going to be visible only if we have a chat. Okay, and this is going to go to the shref, or like this, just chat, because it's going to be for the new chat. And here we are going to say new chat like this, and hit save. And as you can see, here is the new chat, but maybe I'm going to change the color, and also, so here we have the link, and instead of text slate, I'm going to say text to be green, and the BG slate 900. Okay, let's leave it as it is. Just text is going to be green, and why we don't have that text, green 400, yeah, green like this, and save. And as you can see now we have yeah, because we made this inside the template. So let's cut and move it up here. Okay, one more thing, let's add here an SVG. So let's navigate to the arrow icons, arrowicons.com, and I'm going to search for just plus. Yeah, here we have, and let's copy this and let's navigate. After the link we have here flex, yes, so let's paste that and save. Now if I open, come here, yeah, we have chat like this, link, and I'm going to give it a class to be with full, and let's save this. Come here and refresh, and now yeah, if I click here we navigate, but we are here on the empty. But if I click here, yeah, we have an error, I think. Go to the console and cannot read properties of node reading scroll. Yeah, here on the, now let's close the side, and here when we check for L container, first we need, so let's cut and check if we have a chat. Probs.chat, so let's say probs.chat, and if we have the chat, then we are going to scroll to the bottom. Let's save and let's come here and refresh. Let's go to the new. Good. Now let's go to the view what is there. Yeah. Now it's okay, and we don't have that error, I think. Let's go. Come here. Go to the console. Yeah, we don't have that error. Okay, friends. One more thing. I'm going to add a skeleton here when we make a request. So let's navigate to the flowbyte.com, and you can find skeletons here. So if I search for skeleton, here it is. So just go and copy and paste it in the, or let's create a new component for that. Let's create here inside the components. I'm going to create a new one. Let's say just skeleton dot view, and this one is going to have only the template, and inside paste the skeleton, what you like, save, close this, and let's scroll down. Now, so I'm going to close that, and here when we have the template, after the template, I'm going to say skeleton, and this one is going to, so let's say vShow is going to show only if we have form.processing from form processing, and let's set close. We need to import the skeleton up here. So let's import that. Import the skeleton from add /components/skeleton. Like this, it's saved, and now let's test this feature as well. Just test and hit enter, and now we have that skeleton here, and also the 3 dots. Hello friends, welcome. This is going to be the last video for this project, and here I want to delete the chat, and not all the chats. I want to delete only the chat we are in. So for example, we are in the chat with ID number 2, which is this one, and I want to delete only this one, and maybe let's give a different BG to this we are in. The same I think we have also on the Chat GPT OpenAI. We can delete only the chat we are in. The same I'm going to do here, and also not directly delete the chat, but just when we click to that SVG, because I'm going to add the SVG here, when we click show more SVGs, one is to confirm the delete and one is to cancel the delete. Okay, so let's get started, and let's open the VS Code. And the first thing, also I'm going to add here a title because I don't like this. So let's open the chat index, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to import up here the head from, so import head from Inertia, JS view 3, and down there I'm going to add that head. So let's say head, and the title is going to be where to create a constant title. Let's close that. Now the constant here is going to be, so let's say constant title, which is going to be equal with computed, and make sure you import the computed. So if I scroll up, yeah, we need to import the computed also from view, and let's use the computed here, computed, and I'm going to say if we have inside the props dot chat, and if we have that, I want to say I want in the context of that chat, the first in the array, I want the content, and if that isn't, I'm going just to say new chat like this. And if I save, we are in the what is VueJS. If I click here, what is Laravel? If I click new chat, is new chat. Very good. Now also let's add a different color if we are here. So let's see in this li, I'm going to bind the class, and here let's add an array. Let's use the array method and pass here the condition before, but what I want only to change the BG. So let's remove the BG slate from there, and now I'm going to say right here, if the message dot id is triple with the chat dot id. If that is true, I'm going to say give it a BG slate 700. Otherwise, it's going to be the BG slate 900. And let's save that and let's come here. Yeah, we are to this one. If I click here, we change the BG. Good. Now let's add an SVG here to show the confirmation delete the message, to delete the chat. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new constant. Scroll up here and let's create a new constant which show delete button. I'm going to say which is going to be a ref and by default is going to be false. Then let's scroll down and I'm going to use that here in this li. We have flex and we have this link. I'm going to add another without the div here, and this div is going to be shown only if the message.id is triple with chat ID. Okay, now here I'm going to add a button, and when we click to this button, I want the show delete button to be equal to the opposite of show delete button is, and inside this button now I'm going to pass an SVG. So let's go to the hero icons and search for trash. Let's copy this SVG and paste it here, and if I save and let's see now, yeah, here is the trash can, and I'm going to change the width to be 5 and height to be 5, and also let's say text to be red 300. Save, and yeah, I think we are okay. Or let's change back to 6. Okay, so when we click here now, I want to show another SVG, and when we click there, the delete or the cancel, 2 SVGs. So for that, let's, after this button, let's close this button, and here I'm going to add a span, and in this span, let's pass 2 SVGs. So the first one is going to be the X mark. Here, let's copy this and paste. Also, let's search for the check and U. So this one and this is going to be, I think, first in span here, then it's going to be the last. So let's see now what we have. Yeah, we have something like this, but this show is going to be only shown if that show only if the show delete button is true. So for that, let's see, on the span I'm going to add v if the show delete button is true. And also I'm going to add a class here to say flex and justify between, and let's save, come here and refresh. Now when we click, yeah, we have the show, but I want to hide now this one. And to do that, we can say to this button, this is going to be shown, so v if only if the show delete button is false. So let's save and let's come here. Let's refresh. Now if I click delete, we show only this show. When we click to this X now, I want to cancel the delete. So when scroll down, and this is the first one. Then we have this one here. When we click to this SVG, so when we click to this SVG, I want to say, so on click, and maybe let's make this a button. I'm going to cut and add the button here. And when we click to this button, I want to say show delete button to be false. And now paste that in. If I save and come here and refresh, click. Now if I click here, we go back, and so. Okay, now when we click here, I want to delete this chat. So let's work with that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this, and let's say add a link with, we need to bind the href, and the href is going to be, let's use a route, and the route is going to be chat.destroy. And here we need to add the ID. We can add message or chat, because only this chat we can delete. So let's say pass in here the chat.id. And now this is going to be a method delete and as a button like this. And now inside, let's pass that SVG, and let's close the link. And why we don't have that? Let's close the link. Okay, now we need to create the chat destroy, but before that, let's open the terminal and let's say artisan make controller. Hit enter. Let's give it a name, and I'm going to say Chat GPT destroy controller, and let's select two invocable, and let's open the web routes and create the destroy route here with that controller we created. So let's say route, and the route method is going to be this delete, parse in here /chat/ and I'm going to use the route model binding here. Let's say chat, and here use that Chat GPT destroy controller we created right now. Say class here and give it the name, not chat, but give it the name chat dot destroy. Now if I save and let's open this chat destroy, we don't need the request. What we need here is to bind the chat and $chat here. The return type is going to be redirect response, and we need to delete that chat. So let's say just chat delete, and then I want to return. So when we delete, I want to return not back, but I want to return to the route chat show without parameters, because we delete that and we navigated a new chat. So let's save that, close also this one, and let's save this and let's open and refresh. If I click here, now if I click to the X, nothing happened. If I click to this check mark, we need to delete that. And also let's change on hover of these SVGs. So let's add the class to be text red 300, and on hover I'm going to change that to say text red 500. Save, come here and refresh. Now as you can see on hover we change that color, and also let's change that color on hover to this one, So we have this button, and it's add the class to this button. So let's say class text to be slate $300, and on hover I'm going to say text slate $500. Okay, save, come here and refresh for last time. If I hover it, yeah, we cancel. If I hover to this one and if I click, we delete that and we navigate to the new chat. We have only this one now, and we can delete also this. Okay friends, that's it about this video and about this tutorial. I hope you enjoy, and if you like, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video. All the best, and thank you very much for following me.